In this video, we're going to walk through the basic essentials of setting up a basic website in Squarespace in under 30 minutes. And with that, let's get started. Alrighty, so to get started in Squarespace, I'm going to head to Get Started. And in here we go. I can choose a template on which one I want to use. Now, to me, I look at a few things because I can change this template up all that I want to. But usually I'm looking for is that do I want the social media at top and how do I want my navigation to look like? To me, I don't want the navigation to bleed into the picture because to me, it's hard to read the navigation. Every so often I don't pick the right picture. So for me, I'm going to choose this Bergen one to notice how the design stays outside of the navigation. Start with Bergen. Yes, I got it. And setting things up, rock and roll. And yep, I'm going to say close. We're going to change this up. So I'm not going to do this. Let's just exit out of all these assistants. So what I want to do first is I'm going to edit the site title. So how we edit in Squarespace is that by default, all your pages are here and your design is here. What's great about Squarespace is it separates your design from your content, leaving you the ability to design globally on your site and not on page-to-page issues. So if I say edit, what I can do is I can go into this design of this page and immediately start editing. Let's take a look at how we edit a basic page. So how pages work are based upon sections. And each section, if I roll over here to the right-hand side, has this format. And each section can have a background image. I'm going to say no to that. But most importantly, what I look at is the section height and the section width. The section height is how much space is between the content on the top and bottom. If I want basically no space, I'm going to hit this little 3 dots and drop it right down to 10. It always has to have some, but I can do it as least as possible. So even though this dot is custom, the small does contain more space than a 3 dot 10 space. So if I want it all the way as close as possible, I'm always going to select the section height and give it a 10 by default. The next is a section width. If I'm reading content, I almost always love the S for small. To me, what happens is if we go too long, this gets too hard to read on the eye. And so for me, I almost always will stick with S. Also, I almost always do not touch. That's not really a phrase, but if it were to be, I almost always stick with content alignment being in the middle and the middle. To me, this centering left doesn't quite work. I can go top left or actually bottom right, but to me, the center and the center keeps things as clean as possible. Now, if I want to add content right here, what I can do is click the little plus sign. Let's say I want to bring a picture in to this design. So what I can do is click the picture. If I go back to that and add a picture, I'll upload a file. And the picture I want is from actually a previous video. I want this background picture. I'm going to say upload. And by default, everything is one column or full width down the page. Hence why we had, if you look back into this design, we have section width. The picture would grow based upon the width. Now, if I wanted this picture to the left or right of this mission statement, then I might use a medium. So if I knew I had the space, what I can do, and this is great about Squarespace, notice how this little hand shows up in this design. Even when I'm in the text area, if I click over here, the hand does show up. That's because I can move the text anywhere and the picture anywhere. So if I want to move this picture just to the right, notice how a bunch of areas show up. Now this means it's going to float to the right. If I put it right here, watch what happens. That picture is going to float. So if I type in even more information so that it goes down to another line, let's just do another line like this. This is how the text floats around the picture. What I want to do is have a 2 column where the picture actually sits outside the text. So what I'm going to do is put it right about there. And note how that word mission, if that line goes back and forth, I can drop this picture right here. And now this text stays within that 1 column design. And the great part about Squarespace is that if I hit this little mobile preview, it's going to drop to 1 column again, which is so great. So I can use 2 column, 1 column by just dragging and dropping. I usually keep it 50-50 for a lot of designs, but if I don't like this 50%, 50%, because by default, it does go 50%, I can put my mouse right in between and drag back and forth and either move it. Now keep in mind, I'm not really dragging this picture for how the text is going to appear because text can always move. So I never think about designing for a perfectly spaced text. I think about how the balance is between text and picture. And again, when it hits the mobile framework, we can see that the text goes right above the picture as it drops it down to 1 column. And so this is where, in this case, I do use a medium design for the medium width because the text is going to sit in that 1 column environment. If we go down below, we might have a big picture. Now also about sections, what you can also do is you can rearrange them. So while inside the sections, I can drag and drop, within sections, I can move them up and down. So if I roll my mouse over to this right-hand side, this up arrow indicates I'm going to move the section up above the text below. I do not recommend that, and this only is because this is a design, because the text just has nowhere to read in the very top of the page. So let's bring it right back down. I do recommend moving sections, but in this case, that word mission needs to be changed to an H1. And there it is. Speaking of changing text, that's all we have to do. Note you have your bold, italics. You can change the color to a custom color if you want to, but I don't recommend it. So by default, there's a palette of colors. And that palette of colors comes from, if we come over here to the right-hand side and click this edit section, you have a colors tab. And the colors tab, this template came with this kind of brown, almost dark magenta color. So by default, they give you a set of colors to choose from within your section. So each section has a color scheme. So if I wanted this reversed out, I could say bright 1, and now I have it reversed out with this kind of orangish brown color. And in theory, actually kind of matches the ocean. So I kind of like that actually. But overall, I like to keep the top part pretty nice and clean. And with SEO/accessibility, I always want to make sure I have a heading 1 on my page. So the default design had paragraph 2. And then I say, you know what? I want to go heading 1. I want to make it look a lot cleaner in this design. So once I'm done with this page, in order to save it, I can say done and save. And just like that, that page is totally saved and you're free to keep on working. Now, your site title needs to be changed because my site needs to be my site. If I click on edit, you have a header section at the top, and at the very bottom, you have a footer section. While we are in the design of the content on this page, we can also edit the footer and the header wherever we are inside of Squarespace. So editing the site header is as simple as going up here. Did I not click it? Edit site header. There we go. I missed this thing on the right. And this global information applies to the header. So the site title and logo, I can drag and drop a logo. And if I want a mobile design, I can drop it right here. But my site title is going to be my site title. And that's my new site name in my design. If I go back again, what I can also do is I can also design it for the header layout on a desktop and a mobile site as well. So I can assess saying the header layout, do I want this big box with the text here? Do I want the text on the left-hand side? Do I want the navigation in the middle so it's more of a 3-column title, navigation, big contact us? Do I want a left and right design? Maybe I want this contact us to be giant and the navigation to be on the left. So you get a series of options, or do you want it this way? Do you want our services projects in this way laid out? This is why for the template of choosing your design, this is kind of where it comes into play, because that picture could be at the top on other templates. And to me, I like a very, very clean navigation whenever designed for the web. So that's how I can design the header layout. I'm going to go back up here to where I like it a lot better. Title on the left, navigation on the right, contact us for our big bold text here. Let me save that change. So speaking of pages, we have work, about, our services, and projects. So how we can get to those pages is in the pages section. And in here, if you look at it, I can open and close these folders, and that indicates a drop down below. Notice it always says demo, demo, demo. It's like Squarespace, I get it. It's a demo file. I totally hear you. So the great part about it is if you like this layout, all you have to do is edit the page. And you can go in and edit who we are for this text as well. Again, Squarespace does do a great job of thinking about readability, where this is about as far as I want to read it. And so this design is actually okay. And we know it's going to be a large content width. I feel if we went to small, it would still work. In fact, I kind of like this a little better, Squarespace, now I think about it. So I'm still back on that medium size. I'm not loving, if I look at it again, the large is so spread out. Yes, I am on a full screen design browser, but still I like the way it's a little narrower in this context for this picture. I can click on the picture, simply edit the picture, and if I replace the picture, upload the file, we get that background image, and voila. Speaking of pictures, what I do recommend doing on all your images, do not forget this, is this image alt text. Describe your image to improve accessibility and SEO. I would call this one evening sunset over ocean with soft lighting. The more descriptive factor you can have, the better. The reason why the alt tag is so informational, is so important, is because for accessibility, if someone has a hard time seeing it, screen readers will actually read aloud the alt information, and there's a little SEO to be had, but it's more in accessibility. So I have this picture again, dropped in, and there are spacers to be had. If you just want this picture up, let's say I want this picture right between the text, all I have to do is drag it until it lines up right there. And now the picture sits between the two paragraphs of text. It's that easy to move information around. If I wanted to add something brand new, each of these boxes, you can add new information. I can have a quote, for example, right here and say the quote, all the news that's fit to print. I think that's New York Times. So quote source, I'm going to call it the New York Times. And just like that, I have a quote, and I can edit the design if I want to. I can say, well, I want it to fade in. So I can always add some animation to it, but by default, I just keep it none because to me, it just looks much cleaner that way. And this design incurs this quote on the left and New York Times on the right. I can't change that per this design. I just have to focus on the content. And again, if I want this quote below the picture, I'm going to drag it right down. And if I really don't want it, I can drag it right to the trash can. Or I can just drop it here. Or also what I can also do is throw the trash can away. I can click on that and it just goes away. If I want to create a new page, so we've already edited all the pages. What I want to do is that I want to click on the plus sign. Now here's a little bit of a hot tip. If your site is live, I might go down to the not linked section and say, let's create a secret about page. Well, the reason why I like designing over this not linked is you can see these pages that are live on the web, whether you've actually linked it or not. You can make a public facing website. So the not linked section is more of a place to work on your information, your pages, and then drag it up into this navigation. In the secret about page, now that I have this empty page, which is like my favorite way, now I can bring in all new information. So if I say edit, I'm going to edit a section or add a section. And these sections, they have pre-built designs, which are pretty awesome. They've got galleries if you want a series of pictures. If you just want an image with some text. And I like is they have headlines. You can still do the picture where I can click the picture, be very big. It's really hard to read in this design, so I'm going to bring in a different picture. like say the picture of the ocean. Let's bring our favorite picture right back in. And here's the great part about this is that once this picture comes in full width, you can tell it's really hard to read the text on the top. Squarespace says, hey, how do you want your overlay opacity to show up? So I can drop this 190% as far away. Come back. Where'd you go? There you go. Or I keep it about 30 to 40%. I like a little bit of a darkness to improve the contrast. Now this is a very, very strong picture in terms of the lightness. So I might drop it down to 40% just so this text really shows up on the page. And that's how this section, and this is the case where in the format, I do want a medium amount of space on the top and bottom where the small's too small and the large is almost too large. And so the medium fits for this approach. After that, I can add a new section and I can say add blank. If I go, you know what, nothing really here is fitting in my design. So I'm just gonna say add blank and it gives me this empty space. By default, it's either medium or large. It's medium and it's large across, two things I do not want to talk about before. So in this case, let me make sure this is an H1 just so I don't H2. No, I want an H1. That's better. I try to make H1s. I don't think about H2s in terms of design. I think of an H1, H2 as this is a chapter of a book, and these are sub-chapters on 3, 4, and subsequent down below. So I do want this to be nice and big in terms of an H1. Now down below in the text, what I can do is I can say heading 2, this is a sub headline. And again, I don't like it being so big. So I'm going to come back here, say small, or even better, I might drop it to that 10 just so it's a lot closer to the type. And the section width will be here. I might make this one bold. I might not. Let's also bring in some lorem ipsum. So we'll do lipsum. There we go. And we'll drop in some text. And we'll drop in these two paragraphs. There we go. And in this section, if I return key, it by default gives the ability to drop in a paragraph right there. There's a space right there too, I saw. And this is a paragraph or a heading. This is a paragraph 2. I'll probably go back to a normal paragraph in this design. And ooh, paragraph 1's pretty big. So you know what? I might do a paragraph 2. That's just too big given this template. So we'll go paragraph 2, and that looks much better. And notice how it's not too wide. It's back on that small size. And again, you can make it even like fully like crazy narrow. That's a little too narrow. So my usual go-to is the small where it's wide enough, but not too hard to read. And again, each paragraph is a new section in theory, just like these are sections, these are blocks of information. So I can go ahead and add, if I come and roll my mouse over here, I can put a picture right in the middle. I know our favorite picture is going to show up any second now. And I can simply add a picture between the two paragraphs right within my design. Speaking of design, let me close that lorem ipsum page. If we head over to done and save these changes, keep in mind you can't really do a lot of design within the pages. That's totally fine. So what I want to do is that up in the home section, I'm going to come over to the design, and what I can do is I can go to site styles and choose certain parameters of my design. So if I want to choose the font, what I can do is I can say the base size is 16, but if I'm not loving Bodoni 175, I can come right up here and switch it. And what they can do also is that under the font packs, they show you styles of fonts that you can use. I'm going to keep Bodoni for right now since I'm not going to focus on the type, but I wanted to show you how you can change everything. So the headings are Bodoni, but the paragraphs are Proxima Nova. So again, if I want to change the actual font family of the font for the body copy, I can go right to Proxima Nova and change it. And I can change the paragraph 1 size, the paragraph 2 size, and the paragraph 3. In this template, the paragraph 2 fit a lot better than the paragraph 1. If you choose a different paragraph, just note these might be adjusted so you can double check if you want your paragraph 2 to be overall bigger than the paragraph 1 or vice versa. This is up to you how you want to choose your paragraph design in terms of readability. But for me, this is pretty clean. The buttons, make it, for example, as a button. I can say, well, that's fine, and miscellaneous. And I can assign other styles if I want to a site title, mobile site title, site navigation, but pretty much I try to keep these very, very clean. And I like the templates. I must say Squarespace does a fantastic job of the templates, but you can go in here and adjust your buttons, your image blocks, your colors. So if you don't like this color palette, if I want to choose the bright 2, I can change any color in this bright section, and you can spend all day doing this. Again, this is part of the default templates, and to me, using this kind of ocean picture, it matches this kind of orangish brown with that sand color. Actually, it kind of works pretty good for my design. See, this is where you want to go in and choose all your colors and your styles. And I don't really touch the animations because, well, it looks good. If I have fading or scaling or sliding or clipping on every single page, it starts to become a little bit annoying for the end user. So I almost always stick with none, and maybe a picture or two might fade in, but overall, I don't play with the animations too much. I like clean, consistent design on my websites. So we can go out of site styles and come back here and close it. And if we say done again to our design, it'll just bring us back to our options of what we can choose from. So the one thing I also want to show, which I did miss earlier in the overall pages design, is that let's say I want to link something. So in the edit page, let's say I want to link this entire sentence going on. We talked about paragraphs, and you can add bold italic to this approach. Or what I can also do, or not just or, but and, is links. And links require a couple steps. So if I want to link this sentence, let me do that again, just so I have it properly set up to go. Up in here, I'm going to select this gear icon. And links can go a different way. You can go email, web address to a different site. You can link a file like a PDF. You can link a phone number, or I can link existing pages. So if I want to link my contact page or my secret about page, I'm on the secret about page. Let's link the about page to this right here. What I can do is the word about will be linked to the page. The trick is to click on save and then apply. I missed this word a lot of time when I first started working in Squarespace. Hitting the word apply now creates the link that if I click on save, which makes no sense in theory, but I'm going to click on that page and go right to the about page. Now here's something also important to note. Let's say I want to create my home page. This is a little bit of a trickery on this design or on the pages section. By default, this work page is the home page. It's kind of our mission. But if I want to create a brand new home page, what I usually do is I create a not linked, because by default, my site title is the link to the home page. So what I will do is blank page. I might call this one home. Now again, this says home, but what I have to do is on the gear icon, what I want to do is I want to set as home page. And now what the power of this is, if I say home, the slug will eventually change. But what's going to happen is that the home is not linked in the main navigation. That does sound counterintuitive. Let me just add some information here so we can see it. Let's add a blank. And we'll say the home page. And we'll make it H1 because there's only one statement on the home page. And I will click on save. And now what happens is when I click on work, I get the work page. When I click on my site title, I get the home page. And so I usually keep the home page not linked. Again, it sounds counterintuitive, but the not linked just does not show up inside the navigation, and the linked pages do. The one caveat is the my site title links by default to the home page. And on the home page, I might not use the word slug. I can then take it out and just say text here. See if it lets me keep that or not. Let's see. Yeah, it does. Perfect, because we are on the home page. Oh, it does do home one. That's what I was wondering. So we can just call it home. That's fine. But the page title might be my artwork of Hayden, for example. Navigation title to worry about since there is no navigation title. And I'm all set there. And I'll click on save. And now I really have my artwork of Hayden as the home page to my site with my site title. So the home page actually is not linked, even though it is linked, but it's up here linked. So it's a little bit of a confusingness going on right here. So by default, you get 14 days to design your website without having to pay for Squarespace. So if you want to show it off to someone in that 14 days, if we go under settings and in here, it's site availability. Now by default, you can't make it public until you create a paid site. But if you want to show someone the site in those 14 days, I can say, let's call this one, we'll just do it this way for our password protection. And now if I want to show this off to someone, what I can do is I can take the URL that I have here at Crow Fennel for this design. And what I'll get now, oh, did I not save it? I didn't go back and save that. Let me go back out of that area. And oh, I'm inside of my actual browser. So let me open up a new browser. And what I'll do is head over and bring, one second here. There we go. Let's do this. And now what I get, I forgot I was in the same browser, I get password protection. So if I type in my password, now what I can get, there it is, the home page and my site title. So someone can see the site as if it's already built while being password protected. If I head back over here into that settings area inside availability, once I pay, then I can go to public and connect a domain name to this part of Squarespace. And how I connect a domain name, if I head over to settings, down here in the settings section will say domains. And what I can do is I can either say get a domain, I can buy it directly from Squarespace, or I can use a domain that I own. So if I have a domain name, I can follow the process of using this and it'll give you a step-by-step instruction. And if you have a popular registration company like GoDaddy, it'll help to connect all the details to connect your website to Squarespace's website. So instead of using this really funky Crow, Fennel, whatever name they gave it, you can use your own on your domain name using the domain section inside of Squarespace. Again, it'll only let you go public once you actually pay for it, but everything else can be viewed in a private setting. I hope you really got a lot out of this basic tutorial in the Squarespace Bootstrap video. As always, I'm Hayden Adams with A Designer Who Codes.